Okay, so that video does a great job of talking about product ownership. So we've only got a couple things else to cover on this. So we're going to look at product owners and customer collaboration, and then we're going to kind of do a quick little checklist on what you should be thinking about in terms of what's the core around a product owner role. Since it's a new role, nearly every organization we go to help them start utilizing lean and agile. So if you look at this diagram on the right, the product owner's in the middle. You can see the Scrum Master and the Scrum team on this diagram to the right and the customers to the left. If you look to the left of the product owner, that's kind of the what, right? There's these different things coming in, these different requests coming in for this product owner's product, and then the how is on the other side with the Scrum Master and the teams. If you look at everything that's done in this environment, really what the product owner is doing is taking all these different customer sources and putting together and getting alignment across these different customers around what business value is on the different requests coming in for the product. Because one of the charges of the product owner is to keep their product from becoming a Frankenstein, where it's just a whole mishmash of all kinds of things that don't necessarily work well together. And that requires understanding what these different customers want, being able to have a value system to be able to drive those things in. And as you saw in the video, being able to populate the backlog in a priority order based on value so that the Scrum team can create this pull system and start pulling things through at a high level very easily, knowing that this is the next highest value thing. Now, if there are technical challenges and everything else, like they talked about in the video, there's obviously feedback on that. But that's why you see all these communication lines. Product owner role is not an easy role, but it's a very valuable one. And once you get into the role of it, once you get into using it quite often, and you're familiar with becoming that, it's a very, very rewarding job to have and a very fun job to have. Tough, but fun. And when you look at it, this idea around it driving business value, that means requirements, prioritization, the review of work, what is completed mean and what is the value of that completed work, understanding all of those things and packaging them together to get some kind of business value amongst other factors that you may be using to value these things by, and getting those from those customers. Now, it may not always be possible to get all these customers with you on site. Let's say customer A is essentially all the users out there, which could be hundreds of thousands of customers. Customer B is maybe a B2B customer where you've got a couple of representatives, and customer C maybe is an internal customer. All of these customers relying on your product for something that's going on, right? So you need to be able to have surrogates for the areas that you can't get to, so you can get that information, and you need to be able to get to those customers and make sure that you can have them there. But when you really look at it, this is kind of a super simple high-level structure of how this collaboration works. We're going to talk about design thinking again in day 4. We go into a lot of that in the design thinking spaces, and there's a lot of good technique in the design thinking space, which really, really helps in this manner. So let's talk about the product owner profile very, very quickly. So first and foremost, they need to be available. To whom? To all of those people that you saw on that diagram on the last slide, and anybody else that may need to get them. That's one of the more difficult parts of this, is being available is really key. How do you keep somebody like that available? Well, you make sure they're not bogged down with 35 products, or they don't have 8 different jobs in the organization. This is very tough for companies sometimes because it's hard for them to conceptualize putting a person on a product. Well, that also comes down to, what do we define a product as? Because a lot of companies define their work in projects and don't think about it in terms of products. In fact, a lot of things they don't even look at as products are internal products to them and their workers. So being available is really key. You're representing many individuals and views, just like you saw in that diagram, not only from the customer side and the what side, but also from the how side of the house. You're also representing the delivery team, who has technical concerns and has to make this thing into something real without turning it into a Frankenstein. They need to keep the quality high. Product owner needs to make sure this product has an identity and it stays with that identity, or the identity meets the needs of the value that it's supposed to meet, and it doesn't go too far off the rails or try to become everything to everyone. They define and communicate the product vision. They identify risk. They're involved and run when they become more proficient at this. Usually they're pairing with an organization to help coach them do this. But once they get rolling in their role, they're running story mapping and working on that, because they're helping to lay out, what does a release plan look like for this? What does minimum viable product look like to this? They're writing the story cards that go into this, that go into the backlog. They're pulling that data from the customers, writing those backlog items and then moving them in, helping helping to define the acceptance criteria and those things. Ongoing prioritization. They're constantly prioritizing this because there's new asks coming in all the time. You want to make sure the team, the delivery team, understands what's the next highest priority, and they're communicating in all directions, and they're managing expectations in every direction. Now, this it's not an easy job, like I said, but it is a really fun, rewarding job. And once you get the hang of it and get familiar with it, it becomes just like any other position you've done in an organization, where the proficiency and the value you can drive into your organization is immense.